Polygon has been one of the worst performing assets in all of crypto over the last 2 years. But while most people have discounted Polygon as dead and not been really paying attention to what they've been up to, Polygon has been quietly building a secret weapon. What if I told you right now that Polygon offers 10 times more raw power per dollar than Solana, and that its brand new Agglayer is already letting new blockchains launch instantly with hundreds of millions in liquidity, airdropping tokens directly to pool stakers? And on top of that, what if I told you that Wall Street giants like Stripe, Visa, and BlackRock are quietly building on top of Polygon today? The Polygon most people are familiar with from 2021 is long since dead and has become something entirely new. In this video, I'm going to be diving into what Polygon is today, where they're going in the near future, and why I believe that Polygon might just be the single most mispriced asset in all of crypto. Okay, to start off, I've been talking about Polygon for a long time now, and I've had like a deep conviction in what they're building, but so far, none of that has ended up panning out. In fact, as I mentioned earlier, it has been one of the single worst performing major assets in all of crypto over the last 2 years. And I would say the reason that Polygon and the Pol token have been underperforming over the past 2 years can really be summed up in 3 different reasons. Reason number 1 was that investors got confused about what Polygon's narrative was, as in, like, why should they actually buy or hold the Pol token? Polygon, originally under the token Matic, was a sidechain for Ethereum. And after the 2021 cycle, people didn't really know like where Polygon fit in the grand scheme of things. It wasn't an L1 like Solana, Sui, etc. It wasn't an L2 like Arbitrum, Optimism, etc. And on top of that, it was kind of a confusing, jumbled mess where they had like a ZK EVM chain, they had their POS chain, they had Supernets, and they had Polygon Identity, and all these different things they were working on where nobody could really wrap their head around exactly what Polygon was, and again, why they should buy or hold it. But really, that's been more the growing pains as Polygon has transitioned from being just this single sidechain to having this really grand vision of connecting all chains across all networks together. Reason number 2 Polygon hasn't seen traction up to this point is it really missed the major hype cycle that we've seen over the last 2 years. Solana had meme coins and all the mania around that. Arbitrum had airdrops, Sui and Sei and a lot of these other chains had like high TPS to be, sort of like the next Solanas. And Polygon wasn't able to successfully tap into any of those things. They tried doing meme coins. They tried showcasing, their speed and their usage, but none of these things really caught traction. And Polygon didn't really get that viral bid that a lot of these other major alt assets were able to capture. But fast forward to today, and Polygon has things like Polymarket, which is the single biggest breakout crypto app that there is. It recently integrated with X, is like the official prediction market for X. It's processed around 110 million transactions, and all of that is on Polygon's POS chain. Katana, a new DeFi-focused chain from Polygon, launched July 1st with over 200 million in TVL on day 1. And recently, Stripe enabled crypto payments at over 3 million stores using Polygon POS specifically. And the final reason is kind of a combination of the first two, in that just Polygon sort of got lost in the mix. Most people really have zero idea like what Polygon has done between 2021 and 2025. Like in most people's heads, still to this day, they see it as a side chain that existed back in 2021, that nothing has ever happened with since. They haven't seen all of the investment that Polygon's put into ZK tech. They haven't seen the insane amount of building that's happened over the following 4 years to transform Polygon into what it is today. And I promise you, the amount of insane changes and shifts and growth happening over at Polygon right now cannot be ignored. And I'm going to try to go through each and every point, but I want to start with the fact that Sandeep, the original founder of Polygon, recently came back on as the CEO of Polygon. This is a post he posted on X where he says, "Big update. As the largest holder of Pol and someone who dedicated his life to development and success of Polygon from the very beginning, I've decided to take full control of Polygon Foundation and will be its CEO going forward. Polygon Foundation owns and oversees multiple entities, including one of the major contributors, Polygon Labs, which will be continued to be led by Mark as its CEO, who in my mind is the best executive/leader in the entire crypto industry." And then he goes on to say, "Today I'm announcing a series of much needed changes designed to deliver greater value to Pol stakers and bring increased clarity to the broader market. Number 1, we will depreciate Polygon ZK EVM next year. Polygon's razor focus is going to be on Polygon POS and Agglayer, nothing else. Polygon POS will focus on stablecoin payments and real-world assets, while Agglayer will focus on building a trustless internet of blockchains. Number 2, the first milestone of the Polygon POS GigaGas roadmap is now live in testnet. This first upgrade pushes network capacity beyond 1,000 transactions per second early July, and it's only the beginning. We already have a plan to move from 0 reorgs and sub 1 second finality with 5,000 transactions per second achieved in DevNet environment. This will put Polygon POS amongst the most performative blockchains by September-October timeframe. And beyond that, we have a clear path to scale to 100,000 TPS over the next few years. These upgrades massively increase the economic viability of Polygon protocol and thereby the value for pool stakers. Number 3, Agglayer 0.3 has been in the making, and I'm announcing week of June 30th as the rollout date, which, by the way, this was posted at the start of June, and since then they have both released the 1,000 TPS upgrade to Polygon POS, as well as Agglayer 0.3 as they promised. This version of the Agglayer is feature complete except fast interop, which we anticipate to be completed by end of Q3. We are back to massive shipping mode. Number 4, the Agglayer breakout program will continue to spin off projects, resulting in increased focus for Polygon POS and Agglayer and massive airdrops to pool stakers. And if you guys aren't familiar kind of with some background with Polygon ZK team and building, they have literally one of the single best ZK teams in the entire space. There's a lot of the development in the ZK space based off their Plonky 3 tech. So they've been like one of the foremost leaders in ZK, which most people anticipate as the next major wave in cryptography, not even just in crypto, but cryptography as a whole. And this post by Sandeep got over 800,000 views on X. And if you guys aren't familiar with like some of the narratives in the crypto space, there's been this huge push towards really fast, really cheap chains. That's been like Solana's whole thing. We're really fast, we're really cheap. Everyone's going to build on us because we're really fast and we're really cheap. And so a lot of the focus from investors and mindshare in the crypto space has been on like what other chains are also fast and cheap. So you have a lot of people focusing on Sui, a lot of people focusing on Base and Ethereum layer 2s. And Polygon has gone from back in 2021 around 30 to 40 transactions per second to in November 2023 around 255 transactions per second to today around 1,000 transactions per second, with promises to hit 5,000 transactions per second by this October and eventually 100,000 transactions per second. And just as a comparison to Solana and Sui, which are two of the most hyped chains based on their speed and like cheap transactions, Polygon today has 1,000 transactions per second post the recent update, and it has a fully diluted value of around 1.9 billion. Solana has around 4,100 transactions per second and has a fully diluted value of around 89 billion. And Sui has around 2,700 transactions per second and has a fully diluted value of around 26 billion, which is kind of stupid to compare on that metric alone, but a lot of crypto does it, I don't know, for whatever reason. And if you are comparing on that metric, then Polygon is super undervalued relative to these other two. And if they really do hit 5,000 transactions per second by October, then they're going to be stupidly undervalued on that metric. But remember, Polygon used to be a single chain. It's not the same thing as Solana or Sui, where they literally are just a chain, the tokens for the chain, that's all it's used for. The core of what Polygon's building is all built around the Agglayer, which is this internet of blockchains. Polygon POS is just one chain that connects to that Agglayer. Katana is just another chain that connects to that Agglayer. And their goal is to connect every chain to the Agglayer, which will make it super seamless to move between like two different chains. Like for example, when Polygon POS, which isn't yet connected to the Agglayer, connects to the Agglayer, I think it's supposed to be by the end of this year, with Katana. That'll mean if you're moving between Katana and Polygon POS, it's basically the same as like moving between a web page. It'll be completely seamless and abstracted away, so you're not really thinking about, oh, I'm moving between two chains. You're just using different apps as if your money is on both those chains at the same time. And all of this is enabled by their ZK tech, which again is this like crazy, super sci-fi, amazing technology that even like Vitalik and a bunch of other like OG, giga brains in this space praise all the time as like this massive, massive breakthrough in this space. Like in crypto terms, it's like their version of AI or quantum computing kind of thing. Like it really changes everything. And one of the single greatest ZK teams in the crypto space is the Polygon ZK team. And the reason it's so great is because they spent like almost $1 billion to acquire this team. So they spent a lot of money acquiring the best ZK talent in the space to build out this whole Agglayer vision. And at the center of the Agglayer, at the center of Polygon POS, is the POL token. And the POL token secures everything. It secures Polygon POS, it secures the Agglayer, it secures app chains, and it earns yield from gas, interop fees, and app chain airdrops. Basically, where a lot of crypto tokens maybe have one thing they do, like maybe it's a governance token, or maybe it's used for gas on a chain. Polygon's POL token does a multitude of things and earns fees a multitude of ways. And the Agglayer is massively underrated in crypto. It is literally a engineering feat. It allows any chain. So like these chains don't have like custom builds to be a part of the Agglayer. Just literally any chain. It could be an OP chain. It could be an Arbitrum chain. It could be a Solana, Sui, literally any chain to connect together. No bridges needed. Liquidity is shared across chains. And it literally is like an internet-like experience. It's like, when you're moving between chains, it's as if you're using the same chain. You don't really notice the difference. That is their vision for crypto in the future. And it's their solution to Ethereum's scaling problem and just in general, the fragmentation problem in crypto, where it's like you have funds on this chain, you have funds on that chain, you have funds, on 10 different chains. It's really annoying. It's like super annoying, bad UI, bad UX in crypto. And this would abstract that all away so you wouldn't know that you're on different chains. And what this enables is hyper-specific specialized chains. So you can have a chain that's built for a custom purpose, which normally wouldn't make sense because you're like, it's so hard to bridge between chains. But if it's all shared liquidity, if it's really seamless to move between chains, it makes a lot of sense to have hyper-specialized chains. And an easy way to think about how this relates to Polygon and the Pol token is every transaction on the Agglayer, think of it as like earning fees for the Pol token, earning fees for Pol stakers. And that's where the value accrual, among other things, comes for the Pol token, which is obviously verifiably more bullish than what they had before, just being a single POS chain. You had to see just one chain, the Polygon POS, gain a lot of adoption in order to see traction with their previous Matic token. But today, it's not just one chain, like it's 100 chains, 1,000 chains. And each of those chains are all contributing to the value of the Pol token. And I've talked about this before, but think of the path to success for the Agglayer as sort of like a vampire attack. The more chains that connect to the Agglayer, inherently, the more useful it becomes. For example, today, the Agglayer has 8 different chains connected to it. It has quite a few more pending connections, so they're getting ready to connect, including the Polygon POS chain, which is not yet connected to the Agglayer, and when added, will bring a lot of TVL to the total Agglayer ecosystem. But you can imagine each chain that connects brings more liquidity, more users, and builds more of a network effect around the Agglayer ecosystem. It's like a social media network. Like, if there's only 1,000 people, nobody necessarily wants to use that social media network, where when you get millions and millions of users on a social media network, it becomes inherently more useful. And it's really hard to build a competitor to that social media network because, you're starting from scratch and having to get all these people to come over. And my thesis is basically there will come a tipping point where, just enough chains connect to the Agglayer to make it just that useful that it starts to build that network effect where, if you have to go outside the Agglayer, it's kind of annoying. It's kind of like today, if you're used to being on Solana, and that's the only chain you use, it might be annoying to go use other chains because you're like, this is such a hassle. But imagine if there was like, imagine if Base, Arbitrum, Ethereum, Polygon POS, Katana, and a bunch of these other chains, it was as if they were all just one chain. It was really easy to move between them. It'd be really annoying to go outside that bubble, and it'd be really tempting for any new chain launching to say, why am I going to launch out here on an island as my own chain when I could easily connect into the Agglayer and get, tap in all this TVL users, etc. It just won't make sense at that point to launch your own island. It'll make a lot more sense to launch as a part of like this giant network of various chains. And again, in that post, Sandeep highlighted that the Agglayer should be fully feature complete with fast interop between chains by Q3, which is ridiculously soon. And I think the coming re-rating of Polygon's Pol token is going to be legendary. I think it's inevitable. That's why I keep talking about it, even though like I keep being wrong over and over again, because I literally think it's inevitable, given what they built, that this token is going to be re-rated. And when it happens, it's going to be violent, it's going to be quick, and it's going to be legendary. That is like my straight up opinion on the Polygon Pol token, knowing what they're building and knowing how all these other things around it are getting valued, and it just does not make sense by comparison. And I think the reason we haven't seen this re-rating yet is because some of the things I mentioned earlier. I think there is some still sand in the gears based off the old Matic token. A lot of exchanges and places still have not switched from the old Matic token, and like 99.9% of people still, again, don't understand what Polygon went from and what it's become. And on top of that, Katana has been a massive, massive success, but it's brand new. Like this is a new success. And over the past couple months, we haven't had that market momentum for that success to bleed over into the Pol token. I mean, even today, if you were valuing it off TPS and you were to reprice it to Sui level today, just like the same price multiples as Sui level, Polygon would be sitting at around 10 billion. If you were to reprice it today, like nothing changes, no increase in TPS. If you were to reprice the Pol token to the price multiple that Solana is getting, it puts Pol at 21 billion. And you have to remember that Polygon is currently sitting at 1.68 billion, which is tiny compared to something like Solana. For example, Solana right now If Polygon were to were to grow to the same market cap as Solana, it would be a 48x from today's prices. That would be a 48x increase in the total market cap of Pol token today. And Solana is just a chain. It's just a single chain. It is not like this grandiose vision of like, oh, we're going to be the internet of all chains. We're going to connect every chain in existence together. We're going to be like the core infrastructure for all of blockchains, all of finance. Like if crypto is the future of finance and Agglayer is successful, it'll be the core infrastructure or some of the core infrastructure at the center of the entire global financial system. Like it sounds absurd. It sounds stupid to say this, but if it's successful, what is something like that worth? I think many people would say it's like at least a couple trillion in market cap, which it sounds stupid because we're sitting at 1 billion and this token, like everyone hates it. No one loves it. But you know what? Everyone hates everything before it's successful. Everyone hated Bitcoin back in 2010, 2011. Every time it crashes, they hate it. They're like, this is stupid. This is dying. This is going nowhere. And then guess what? As soon as the price flips, everyone's suddenly bullish. So, it doesn't really matter what the sheep think. It doesn't matter what the masses think about this token. I'm looking at the tech stack. I'm looking at what they're building. Yeah, maybe they won't succeed. Maybe I'm wrong about this. But if they do succeed, it's the upside is unhinged. If you're interested in the Obsidian Council, it's my private community where I do weekly market video updates on macro, the current state of the market, various tokens, and more. I also do weekly updates on my 2-week prediction model. And at least so far over the last couple of months of testing it, it's been pretty dang accurate to the point where I've been able to make a little over $4,000 trading over the last month using this 2-week model. I also share my entire portfolio updated monthly. I post every single time I buy or sell anything. We do weekly live Q&As. We have in-person meetups and a ton more. If you're interested in joining the Obsidian Council, is currently closed to new members, but you can sign up for the waitlist in the description of this video. If this video is helpful, make sure to hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the little bell next to it to be notified each time I release a new video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.